Now on to our next conversation. Certain provisions of the Criminal Code Act speak to the general issue of impersonation in Nigeria. But Sections 251 is specific on bringing contempt on the uniform. It simply states what the offense is and prescribes punishment for same. And while that is the law, the trend is unrelenting with cases of impersonation of police or military officers often captured in the news, whether on mainstream or the social media. Earlier this year, I had on Insight Chikwe Udensi, a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Forensic and Certified Fraud Investigators of Nigeria and a system consultant, Interpol National Central Bureau here in Abuja. We discussed the implications of this trend and what it might just portend for internal security in Nigeria. Let's bring you that interview. I look at certain provisions, or rather the provisions of the Criminal Acts Code in that section 251 that I reeled out earlier, and I look at the punishments stipulated there, and I wonder if that is even enough as a deterrent. Do you also wonder about that as well? I mean, 3 months and
absolutely. I do not think that's enough deterrent. When we have some of these laws made over the years, when those values of money were relatively very high,
yeah,
if things change, we should change them. Right now, that amount of money makes nonsense of a sizable deterrent of somebody who have impersonated as a law enforcement agency, law enforcement agency personnel. But let us look at it from this angle too. I know about the Nigerian police force.
Yeah.
The policemen buy their uniform from the market. It's in the market. This ought not to be the case. When you allow...
Because it opens up an avenue.
Yes, it opens up a clear avenue for people to abuse it. The policemen today, their uniform, their shoes, their cap, their belt, it's in the open market.
Should I say something now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just jump in here.
Let's go ahead.
You know, I'm sure you're familiar with the Louis Edet's house. That's the force headquarters in Area 11, not so far from the headquarters of the NTA, yeah.
That's
a reference to what you're saying,
yes,
what you're saying right now. So you can actually still continue with your point after I say this. If you drive down that road, if you're leaving NTA and you're driving towards Louis Edet's house, there are 2 filling stations along that route. There's the first one is Asman. Then, of course, towards the end of the road is where you have Total. Opposite Asman, that's why they have the police force, Nigerian police force pension commission, an office for pensioners or something. And then there's a police secondary school somewhere around there. I'm not trying to spoil anyone's market, but that place, just in front of that place, is an open market for police uniforms, police boots, and police apparels, as it is. And I am saying this, I mean, with no doubt, absolutely no doubt, because I have seen that not once, not twice. I mean, you see the trucks parked there. Anyone, I could easily go there without an ID card and purchase some of this apparel.
Well, that's my area. I'm the systems consultant of Interpol. You may not have known. I
actually did introduce you as a systems consultant.
Yes, I'm in charge of the Interpol system. So that my office is there. I'm running the Interpol systems there. So I know exactly what you're talking about. We have raised this issue over and over. We have raised the issue of having these apparels, security apparels, not just the police alone. Almost all law enforcement agencies in the country, and also the military, their apparels are being sold in the market. We have raised this issue over and over. If you make it a matter for public consumption, the public will consume it. That is simple. If you make it a matter where you have to belong to be able to find access or have access to it, then it becomes a difficult thing for people to have access in the first instance. So whosoever makes it available to them has broken the law in the first instance. So you have that tendency to conserve the apparel itself from public consumption. But today, that's different. It is everywhere. The police, the uniforms everywhere in the market, the Air Force, Navy, immigration, customs, just name it. Everybody's apparel is in the marketplace. So if it's in the marketplace, it simply means it's for public consumption. That's exactly where the problem starts from.
There's this school of thought that also appears to believe that this whole trend, of impersonation of uniformed personnel, whether it's the police or the army, is driven by a WAP mentality. This rather WAP mentality that that only uniformed personnel have access to certain places or could easily get certain things. So they need to...
Is the mentality WAP? It's not WAP. It's a right mentality. It's what we have.
Of
course, yes.
But the military and the police and others are confined to operate within the laws.
Well, they ought to operate within the laws. They ought to stand in queue. Take for example.
Maybe perhaps this derives from years of military rule in Nigeria, and I haven't seen how the military operated over time. It's ingrained this mentality in certain Nigerians, by the way, not all Nigerians, that dress in army uniform, you can go here, you can get this, you can enter a filling station, no queue, go straight to the front of the line. Let
us call things by their proper names. The truth is this: today, once you are dressed in that uniform, you have access to almost everything. That's the truth. Even where you ought not to enter.
So it's a driver. It's then a driver for the trend.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. If you today want to go to queue at the petrol station, gas station, whatever you may call it, and then you have a police uniform with you, you don't have to be in the queue. You just jump the queue. And nobody asks questions about that. So if you attach those advantages, if you attach those importance to that uniform, well, there are benefits that come with those importance. And those benefits, everybody wants to have.
But in some other climes, in some other areas, yes, there are benefits accruable, not just to serving, but even to veterans who have served their fatherland. And in some places, like, say, the U.S., for instance, where people dress normal, average civilians, civies, like they're called, are dressed in military apparel, or they wear something like an insignia of the police force or something. It shows a love for servicemen. But that's not the case here.
Yeah, it's not the case here. Well, in America, for example, you just mentioned, wearing of those camouflage or military uniforms, it's not illegal. It is it's open, it's general. I remember there was an incident of a young man who just came back from America, and during the electionary period in my locality, he was wearing some of those camouflages. He had big problem with law enforcement. So in America, yes, it is open. It's all commerce arrangement. Anybody can wear any uniform. But it is always easy and very, very clear that you do not get extra benefits for wearing that.
Okay.
That is the difference here.
That's the difference.
Yeah, here you get enormous benefits. You are not stopped at traffic lights. Whether it is a traffic officer that is there or the traffic light that is there, they don't stop at traffic lights. They don't queue. They don't take turns in doing things. So if those benefits are available for that uniform, well, it's a common understanding that where those benefits are available, people would like to explore those benefits.
So, sir, are you then saying, if I'm not mistaken, that in trying to reverse this trend, in curbing incidents of impersonation in Nigeria, or impersonation of uniform personnel in Nigeria, we may need to start within these organizations themselves. We might need to do some sort of internal purging and cleansing first,
yes,
to rid these organizations of certain privileges.
A society where you abuse, you give enormous, extraordinary benefit, you give undue advantage to whoever is wearing uniform. Anybody who is wearing uniform can break the law and nothing happens to him. There are those benefits people want to have to. You see, those who are wearing those uniforms, they intend to achieve those benefits that those who ordinarily are entitled to it are also having. That's exactly what was saying. But if we have a society where whether you are in uniform or not, whether you are wearing all kinds of apparels, you must take the cue. If there are no benefits attached to those uniforms, you see that there wouldn't be much attention to it. But that's not the case in Nigeria. Once you wear that uniform, you don't stand on the line, you have extra benefits, you disobey the laws, you have nobody to query you. With that tendency, people are bound to disobey or take those apparels for the benefits they get from them.
And that's how we see criminal elements exploiting the same avenue to don these apparels and then perpetrate dastardly nefarious acts in society, and then susceptible and innocent Nigerians, vulnerable Nigerians, fall prey to their to some of their works, their nefarious works. I mean, the laws are clear, like we talked about earlier, on what it means to adorn or to wear. It's called contempt on uniform right now. And yet, I don't know if you have an opinion on this. I see skit makers, yeah, you know, sometimes donning a semblance, maybe not the real one, but a semblance of military and police uniforms. I'm not talking about professional actors now, because I think there are laws about that as well. So not professional actors. I'm actually talking about these social media skit makers and skit actors donning them. What does that also translate to? Doesn't that somewhat translate to contempt on the uniform as well? Is that not making a ridicule of these organizations and agencies, as it were?
Yeah, look at most of the comic artists. When they wear police uniforms, they make nonsense of police work. And to some extent, because there is not enough deterrent against it, there's no enough enforcement. Of course, yes, that's the problem. In law enforcement, we believe that where there is no deterrent, there's no proper enforcement. If you don't put sizable deterrent, the breaking of the law will continue. So if you see most of the movies, and whether they are professional movie stars or those that hack on these sites, fly-by-night ones, whichever it is, you will see that police uniforms have been worn, even with ranks, police ranks on them, and creating those problems that are associated with not knowing who the real one is and who the fake one is.